wanted to bring up a comment that was mentioned in a previous video that I've been trying to find the words to put together, and it was addressed to whether or not I feel in any way jaded by casual gamers, and why, or as it was said in the comment, filthy casuals. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say yes and no, and I'm going to tell you why. Yes, I feel in some way slighted. I'll say slighted because I don't necessarily feel jaded by them. Rather, I feel slighted. And how could I feel slighted by these? Like, how could I feel Sly Coopered by these casuals? It's because they don't put in the effort. They really don't. Like, the identity of a casual gamer is someone who does not put in the effort, does not put in the time, does not really seek to grow from, and doesn't really seek to attain that excellence from the gaming industry. And I do. These are all things that I do in fact seek and justifically choose to attain. Like, these are things that I reach for, things that I will have. I shall have these in my grasp. Mine. Victory accomplished. Anyway, but that's a hardcore gamer. That's something that a hardcore gamer does. What hardcore gamers do is we end up putting in a lot of, we put in a lot of the time, we put in a lot of the effort. We are the guys and girls who grind, and we put in so much effort, and we really make that game, we make the best of it. We really do. Now, casual gamers, they're like the third wheel, if anything. Like, they're like the third wheel. They kind of sit there and don't really put the time in. They don't actually put in effort. And if anything, if you wanted to find a mess load of casuals, Halo has a front load of them right now. I mean it. Like, you can go into Halo and find a monotony of Halo casuals, and it's a mess right now. But you know what? I have a feeling that this will change, so this too shall pass. Hopefully. I'm really hoping this passes soon, because this is getting abundantly annoying. But anyway, so filthy casuals. How could I feel slighted by filthy casuals? It is because I've put in time beyond comprehension at this point. I can't say that, actually, but I can say that I put in a mess load of time. I've put in a mess load of hours, I've put in a mess load of effort, and a mess load of, had a lot of successes. I've had a lot of successes. I've had a lot of accomplishments through doing so. I've memorized the vast majority of maps and different stuff that I can do within, and also come up with a few cool, neat little things I can do along the way. Got a few tricks up my sleeve. They're very short sleeves, so but yeah, so casuals, on the other hand, they kind of just, they don't really put in the effort, and that kind of, it wears on me a little bit. It does. It makes me have to pull their weight for them when they should be pulling their own weight. You know, it's kind of like there's this gaming thing, there's this toxic rhetoric where, and it is a toxic rhetoric. I know there's some people out there who are trying to cover it up, like, there's no such thing as toxic gaming. That's bullshit. Clearly, you haven't been in any of the lobbies that I've been in, because you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I've met some toxic players. I've met some insanely toxic people. Like, you could almost feel them through your keyboard. It's that bad. I mean it. Like, they were fucking awful. I mean it. But anyway, so I've met a few, and I've even heard some of the worst things on the planet from them.
Hey, shut the fuck up, man. Just shut the fuck up, man. I don't want to hear it, man. Shut the fuck up, man. Oh, I'm the only one on the objective? That's what's up.
And this guy's still trying to be what he's not.
Yeah, because I died. So fuck you.
And he's toxic.
Alright, nigga.
GG's.
Who carried? You?
Yep.
I should have been carrying, but okay. I'm 30 kills.
Yeah.
No, actually,
got
left person should be carrying.
I see you, son.
You see me? Took long enough. And even more so, anyway, the point being is that casuals, why would I feel slighted by them? I feel slighted by them because they don't put in the effort. I've said that before, and I've said it again. The point being is that they don't really make the attempt, and they don't really push the extra step. They don't take the extra, they don't show initiative. They don't, it's kind of like, oh, you might know we're more dedicated than me, but I'm a filthy casual. It's like, and like that, you lost me, because I want to see somebody who's got the skill, the experience, and all these things, because you know what, if I've got it, and at this point, why don't you? You know, it's kind of like, there's this meme out there, you know what, whatever, let's just leave the meme alone, right? But it really boggles you a little bit. It boggles you a little bit, it messes with me a little bit, because it's like, how did you not get out of that? Like, really? You know? And I guess that's what bothers me, is like, they don't put in the effort. They really don't put in the, they aren't as attentive with their game as they should be. In fact, they often are kind of like the paperweight. They're kind of like paperweights. Casual gamers are, in fact, kind of like paperweights, like over-glorified paperweights. That's really what they are. And then you have the pro gamer, which is, There's a few different, there's the slur version and there's the real version. And the real version is somebody who has gone into competitions. Now, I've been there, I've gone through this, and I can tell you for a fact that I'm no longer doing so, that it is an accomplishment and a milestone in my life. So, yes, awesome. Wah, yes. But now I'm going to, now I've got other things on my plate that I have to focus on for now. But when it comes down to the differences between a casual gamer, which is kind of like an over-glorified paperweight, I'm trying to be as nice with this one as possible. I really am. But then you have the hardcore gamer, the person like me who literally loves furthering himself, who loves, maybe it's even herself even, because I know there's this huge rhetoric behind that. I'll get into that later. But anyway, so we love to further ourselves. We like to always have made some amount of progress. We love that concept because as long as we're doing more or we're succeeding in that effort, that we're moving forward. And if we're moving forward, then we can succeed. If we have some measure in which we've grown or something that we've added to it, or if we brought our energy and placed it within, then we can do those things, right? And all of those things are what you would call a hardcore gamer. We love the grind. We love to level up. We love, like, we were blessed with an unalienable skill to level up. X-Force. But but yeah, that's kind of that's the difference, is that casuals, they're glorified paperweights. Like, they're not very good teammates. If anything, they are a liability. They really are. And then you have your considerable hardcore gamers, which maybe they're going solo, or maybe they occasionally drop rogue, and in other cases they're carrying in my case, I'm carrying the team, or playing the game to more than the best of my ability, because if you do what you can, you'll never be more than you are, right? And that's a blatant fact. And on top of it, there's some differences in the mentalities between casuals and hardcore gamers. Like, a pro gamer is kind of like, that's it. They barely enjoy anything. They're kind of, that's kind of their sacrifice, though, is that they aren't really necessarily allowed to enjoy anything, which I always thought was even playing competitive. I always thought that was kind of like a letdown, you know. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the competitive thoroughly. I really do. It's like, it's kind of like, I used to listen to these motivational speeches growing up, and I used to listen to one of these ones where it was like, you lost your competitive edge, and that pisses me off, because you should have had that in the bag, and that was what's going to get you through life. It's going to get you the job. It's going to get you your career. It's going to take you far. It's going to bring, it had all these things about it, right? And it was really bringing emphasis to the competitive edge, and a lot of people, because of these casuals, have lost sight of that competitive edge. So yes, in a lot of ways, I feel slighted, not jaded, but slighted by the casual gamer. Now, there are a lot more casual gamers than there are competitive gamers. There are a lot of hardcore gamers that are very much so competitive. Like, they grew up in the competitive lobby, myself being one of those players. And really, the only difference between a pro gamer that you can actually call a pro gamer is that legitimately at some point or one way or another, you're going to eventually hear them. Even if they lose, you're going to hear them say the words the two letters GG. At some point, you're going to hear that. Like that's the truth. That is a fact. That's true. You're gonna hear it from us. You're gonna hear it from us. From those of us who have played through stuff like that, it's kind of like we don't like losing. In fact, we loathe it. We genuinely hate it. We don't like it. We want success. We want to win. We didn't come here to lose. We came here not to lose. We came here to win. There is no. You can mix it up in any other way you want. The fact of the matter is that you came here to win. If that's your goal, that's what you came here to do. That's what you are going to strive to do until the day you're dead. Like you will do whatever it takes. And I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna be very honest. Like that's shy of very few things. And there's a blatant fact: is it's shy of very few things. Have you seen some of the crazy shits people like the crazy stuff that people spend their money on? Let alone have you seen some of the crazy stuff people do just to get a little attention on the internet? I mean that. Have you been paying attention? But that's the pro gamer thing, right? And we all have a story to tell, and that's another pro gamer idea is that we all have a story to tell. We have background. We have our history. We have history behind all the things we do, and. It's kind of like if you sit there and say, well, hey, what's your story? Well, I've got a long list of stories to tell, and I haven't shared any of them. I haven't, because I've actually had some fun moments. But yeah, so literally, the hardcore gamer is kind of overshadowed by the casual who's like, for fun, competitive is toxic, and it's like, yeah, but it's toxic done right. Haha. And then you have the hardcore, which is like, yay, having fun. They're kind of temperamental. Let's be honest. I'm kind of temperamental. I'm gonna be honest. I've always been kind of a temperamental guy like that. Don't take it the wrong way. Don't take it so hard. Lol. Anyway, well, yeah, it's you get a long list of things that kind of like lead down to the casual is there to deplete the amount of competitive edge, and that really is a sore thing to hear because it's like, man, do you know how much I just want to see you guys like compete against each other? Do you know how much I want to see you guys actually putting in a fight like you mean it? Do you know how much I want to see you guys like enjoying the game? Because you can't be having fun when you're constantly losing the game. You can't be having fun like that. Like I imagine I'm having a fuckload of fun, but you, on the other hand, no, you it can't be that way for you. So I'm gonna like step it up. I'd like to see more from you. I'd like to see you guys doing more from this. And I'd like, if anything, there are, I'm sure there are channels on YouTube where you can go to get a small leaning towards something you can use to fight back. I'm sure there must be a few content creators out there who always help. I mean, you got Drifter out there, and Drifter does like in-depth Call of Duty videos, and that was always helpful. And like, not that I didn't kind of know this already, but it's kind of like each game has the same gun, just different skins, and that's a very competitive hardcore player thing. Is we've kind of come down to this concise decision that every gun is the same, just has a small increase on the increments of whether their damage or fire rates increased, and then they're just reskinned. That's it. That's what Call of Duty does. They don't want you to know that. Shh, I didn't tell you anything. It's not me. It wasn't me. But yeah, so it's a very hardcore gamer thing that a lot of casuals would probably love to get their hands on for knowledge, right? And but yeah, pro gamers that work, I mean, like for the most part, if it comes down to the three types of gamer, like you've got your casual, which is kind of just there to be like a glorified paperweight. And then you got your competitive hardcore player, and that hardcore player is kind of a DPS tank. And like for the most part, they're DPS tanks. And there are some DPS healers, but there are some DPS tanks out there that are nasty at what they do. And I don't know. I don't know which one I might be. I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, like I could play kind of all the roles, so that I guess that kind of matters a little bit. But anyway, so you got like the whole grind necessity, the need to achieve more success. That is the key fundament of any hardcore player. Is somebody who's always seeking to better themselves and always seeking to accomplish more. Who's always seeking to achieve. That's what you would call your hardcore gamer. But then you have the others out there that are the pro, and they're more few and far between because they legitimately don't ever play pub lobbies, and some do, like very few and far between. You'll almost never catch a pro player playing pub lobbies, and the reason why some of us do is because we've realized, like the very few of us, I believe there's one, what's his name, Dismo. He plays on a competitive team, and Dismo, for a fact, goes in pub stomps, and the reason he does this is because he realizes that his formula, like mine, my formula, our formulas, both while they're slightly different, while they are different, we both realize that we can just go in and use the same formula in competitive, in ranked, in pub matches, and in the middle of an arena. We can do that. So I guess at that point, or even in a localized like event, like we can do those things. It's kind of awesome that way, and it works. But anyway, so there are of course some things that kind of lead down to like how you achieve that, like the whole like tracking, you know, like when you track a target, right, when you're playing a game, right, and there's a lot of things that a lot of the casuals just don't do. Like they slow it down to their pace, where rather than trying to do the hardcore thing, which is true to aspire to do better than what they were doing as a casual. Like that's a hardcore gamer. A pro gamer has kind of grown a natural tendency for these things, you know, and kind of like calls up on it. Like it's in there at all times, and then eventually it just kind of opens up, and here it is. Here's this whole thing, and here's what I can do. And if it wins, it wins, and if it doesn't, then time to go back to the drawing board and get back on the practice grind. Like that's kind of how that is. If you didn't win, then you go back to grinding again, and that's both a hardcore and a pro gamer thing. That's just what those are. And yeah, I feel slighted by them. I feel slighted by the casuals, and I guess at some level you could call them filthy because they literally are just there to weigh you down. They really are. Like they're the guys or girls at this point, because there are quite a number of gamer girls now. But they are the gamer girls or guys that sit there and just occupy a slot in your team. They just sit there and act like dirty slots. They're just there. they're there to capitalize on the success of those who are carrying them. It's kind of like if you had to put this into the world of normie people, like you've got the casual player, which is everyone else. Then you've got the hardcore gamer, which is the protege, and then you've got the aspiring protege, and then you've got the pro gamer, somebody who has played competitive and has played very well, has done more than enough time, put in ample sums of hours, and constantly does all the things that you know both casuals and hardcore players do, and understands that it's okay to take time to like respect your ability enough to rest. That's the key fundament. Just rest, you know, to know when to rest, and that is the fundament, you know. And there you go. So I guess that's kind of like the small talk version of the mentality to each individual. And yeah, casual gamers are overpopulated right now. They really are, and it's kind of unfortunate because you would see a lot of really good players, and it's unfortunate not just for you but for me, because as a competitive player, I like a challenge. Does that sink in? But yeah, as a competitive player, I like a challenge, and I like to challenge myself, and those are things that both hardcore and pro gamers do. So I guess at this point I could just kind of round this down to, yeah, I feel somewhat slighted by the casual, because they literally don't put in the effort, and they kind of just there to sponge up they're kind of like glorified. I've said this many times. They're glorified paperweights. Anyway, all right. I'll let you guys go. I had to run through that, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the first clip, and I hope this brought a little bit of light to some of my perspective, not the whole detail, but definitely as much as I could give when it regards to the casual gamer. Yes, they're good people. Some of them are decent people, but they need to put in just a little bit more effort, in my opinion. And probably in a few other people's opinions. I mean, there's a lot of channels out there trying to further you, and you just don't pay attention. But anyway, so yeah, Stay awesome in a ninja. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.